Yes, what's going on, people?
Yes.
How you doing, bro?
Very good, man. Very tired.
I was going to say, likewise. It's really strange as well because the first time we're doing this as a format, actually. So for people that are probably wondering, like, what's going on? Why are they in the studio? Yes, we still have our own respective platforms, but I think just generally, there's so much to talk about. We always say we want to collaborate and just have a bit of a conversation. So I'm sure it's going to start off nice and diplomatic, and by the end of a few weeks, we'll probably be like, "Yo, this guy culture don't know shit about boxing." Of course. How you been? How you feeling?
Yeah, very well, man. Very well. I enjoyed a good night of boxing yesterday.
Yeah.
Quite a few stuff to look forward to, despite everything that's going on in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is the perfect space, man. Perfect space to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't ask to speak about it more better guys than you, bro. So
exactly,
let's just get it cracking, man.
And I like what you did last night as well, because I know you invited me on for the Yard versus Spellman. So doing the fan talk. Yeah, so that's really good. You seem really like you got a good reception yesterday as well.
Yeah. We got some good people on, man. Ewan in particular from Simbox Boxing. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
He jumped on, gave some good opinions, and I feel over the next few weeks, the more times I do it, the more people will start to be more confident to go on.
Yeah.
Whereas before this whole pandemic, I'll be going outside the venue and interviewing people. We can't do that now, so this is like the next best thing, and it's working well.
Yeah.
To be fair,
and
no drunk people jumping on the fight.
Yeah, I was going to say that's always a positive. Yeah. But it is weird that when it comes to fan interaction, because I feel the same as well in terms of the weekly show. I don't know if it's nerves or what it is, but yeah, you feel that you need to kind of really help people, just hold their hands just to start with.
Yeah. And
then when they get the buzz, they're like, oh yeah, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah. They don't realise how good they actually are. Like before, they'll be like, yo man, don't know what to say here, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, don't worry, I'll drive it. Just jump on it and say how you feel, man. Don't be afraid of like what anyone else thinks. This is your time to say your opinion. And everyone's allowed their own opinion. So yeah, man, it is good, bro.
And on that, because for me, I'm a big believer. It's not even just the opinion; it's the fact that but there's no real such thing. I mean, there's certain facts, right? You can't argue with, but most things, there's no right or wrong. As long as you've got a bit of logic to say this is how you got to this conclusion.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to say anything? I mean, if you walk in a room and say, "Guess what? Joshua would have lost to Mayweather," obviously everyone's going to say you're mad.
Yeah.
But if you say, "Listen, you know why Mayweather would maybe lose to an Errol Spence or a Crawford," then guess what? You've got the logic to say why that would happen.
Exactly.
But let's start with the boxing that took place last night.
Yeah. Did you get any sleep last night?
Bro, I literally 3 hours, 3.5 hours tops, man.
Bro, yeah, it was a struggle, man. I think luckily I was kind of distracted by editing the fan talk stuff.
Yeah.
In between, but yeah, man, it's like a whole shift. Bro. I go in bed at like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
and then there was a long day on it because I know you were out with the family as well.
Out with the family during the day, so yeah.
Get back, and then it's just like from one event to the other, which as much as I'll say, I do miss that, being that we've had this pandemic for so long, right? Yeah. Before, we used to be able to say, right, it's football in the afternoon, and then there was a fight starting covering at 7. Then there was a US show, so you knew you was going to be up late.
Yeah.
It was good to have that. I think the best place to start, really, though, is probably a bit of the internet sensation, Lickleman. Let's talk about that fight. So I'm good with it.
You know what, yeah? Shout out to Lickleman, first of all. He did his thing. I didn't know what to expect, with these sort of events, and that's no disrespect to them too, but covering like boxing for so long. And these type of events, man, I think the whole thing worked out brilliantly.
Yeah.
It looked professional. Lickleman, he's been training. We've seen him with Anthony Yard. Mm-hmm. We've seen him like hitting the
Conor Ben.
Yeah, with Conor Ben. We've seen him do it all. So there was pressure on him still.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my friends were like, "Yo, man, Lickleman, he can talk, Yeah. So if he don't win, because this other guy looked kind of, some French Algerian don." I was like, yo,
quiet as well. It's like that cool, calm, killer kind of vibe.
Yeah, he looked like he was on stuff. So, you know what? He was very good. He showed good technique, man. That straight right, couldn't miss him,
bro.
Couldn't miss him with that straight right hand, man.
Yeah.
And he closed it out.
Yeah, I mean, especially like you said. I think I had the same feeling. I was like, am I going to pay for it? And then we spoke earlier in the day, and I was like, you said, it's $5. It's not that we're rich, but it's like, what, $5, support the team. It's an independent project as well. So I thought, let's get involved. And I'm kind of watching it, and I'm like, boy, what do I expect here? I've never, and I don't want to say it disrespectfully, but I've never seen dwarves fight, right? You're just like, are they going to be able to show the same things boxers do? But I have to say I was massively impressed, even from round one. They got into it, kind of like showed quite solid chins. But what really impressed me, as you mentioned, was the straight rights. I think in the first 2 rounds, like Little Man was just countering, throwing a straight right. And the Salim just couldn't, he had no answer for that. But then he got a bit of a rally. And if you think about it, like fighting for 2 minutes, no matter what size you are, it's tough. Do you know what I mean? Either you're pushing back or you're on the defensive, or you're on the offensive, So, yeah, I felt that he done a really good job.
He did a great job, man. Anyone that steps into the ring, even like dwarves, whatever, like anyone that steps into the ring, man, you got to respect it.
Yeah.
These two, like it was a well publicized event. You know, I follow all the gossip pages. You know what I'm saying? I follow the Shade Borough. I follow, you know what I mean? I'm just baiting all those stuff. And like this was heavily hyped, man. I had casuals messaging me saying, "Yo, you're not covering the Little Man fight."
That's what I mean.
I felt a bit conflicted because I'm like, do I or do I not? Like, but listen, man, like they put on a good event. Hopefully, it might inspire people to go to the gym. Like a lot of people follow Little Man, so I think it was a good, all in all, good turnout, good ending, good show, man.
Exactly, and I think we've got to say to Little Man, I mean, look, it's been well publicised the kind of lifestyle he's been living. I think he said that he's been in and out of prison system since what, day 13.
Yeah.
So since he kind of linked up with Bouncer, he's been able to keep him on a positive side, you know what I mean? Whether it was their little clips, getting in videos, you know, I think they were in Gigs music video. He had their own cartoon. So do you know what? Fair play to them. I mean, he released something about 4 weeks ago, which had me in stitches. There's a dancehall track in the background, and the driver just pushes his foot.
I've watched that video about 20 times, man.
I've watched it about 1,000 times. I was in stitches. So listen, like he's putting himself out there, and I think, like you alluded to, like he was talking a lot. Like
he's talking hard, man. I don't want him to lose, you know.
He's serious.
Some men were like, "Yo, this guy talks a bit too much." You know? But, I like him still. He did his thing, man.
Exactly, and I like him, and I think the way he kind of performed to get the stoppage, like, you know, last round as well. I think you could see how much it meant to him, and I think, you know, is there going to be a big demand for this type of thing? You never know. At the end of the day, if KSI and Logan were able to fight, and now they're potentially Logan's fighting Mayweather. I'm not saying Little Man's going to fight Mayweather, but I'm just saying you never know. Like you're saying, people may really be inspired from this and start saying to themselves, you know what?
There's a market for it at the end of the day.
They could be right.
And like, you know what? Like as hardcore as we are, we're just gonna have to accept it, man. Like I know there's a lot of old school man that is like, yo, man, I'm not interested in this whole.
What's your thought? What's your take on that, though? The old school mindset of like Logan Paul, and we're going to talk McGregor, Pacquiao. What's your thoughts on that generally?
I think we just have to embrace it, man. Whether you like it or not, it's not going anywhere, man. And like, I'm not saying like you have to. If you don't like it, cool, don't watch it. You know what I mean? But it's not going anywhere. I think my only issue was when Eddie Hearn had the bill with the YouTubers and the boxers, and then the boxers were on the undercard. That kind of bothered me a little bit because I'm like, yo, man, you're not showing respect to like Devin Haney and Billy Joe Saunders fighting on the undercard of who was it? KSI. I was like, yo, man,
was it KSI?
KSI and Logan Paul, was it? I don't know. It might have been that. It was the other one.
I was thinking it's the other guy. Where he beat him up, isn't it?
The Dib guy. I don't know. Maybe him. But I've got no issue with it. Let them do it, man. Like they've got a huge platform. As long as you're not disgracing the sport, I've got no problem with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to be honest, I'm similar to you. I don't see why people. I think only certain characters can do it. If I'm going to be real, and I think the characters that can do it, they usually have people that like them and a lot of people that hate them. Hence Mayweather, even McGregor to a certain degree. And for me, I've got no issue with it because I don't see it really being detrimental to the sport. Now, I can say, do you know what? There's certain guys that have been training through the amateurs. You know, will come up through their local club. You know, we're both from out of London. We know someone like Linus Udofia. You know, he would probably really like grasp these opportunities those guys are getting. But at the same time, they've built a name elsewhere, and they're now just kind of crossing over. And I think crossing over is kind of a good sign of being commercial, and the sport of boxing needs that. I really feel the sport of boxing needs that. So I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, why is Pacquiao fighting McGregor? I'm actually looking forward to that. I think Pacquiao's going to mess him up big time. Do you know what I mean? If we look back in history, I think Ali got involved with wrestling.
He did.
I'm pretty certain Mike Tyson, if he didn't have a lot of his troubles, I'm sure he would have done a crossover. because Tyson Fury's obviously did the WWE.
Yeah.
So I think people just
Yeah,
got to
man,
accept
yeah,
it.
it is.
And I linked it to not too long ago. Didn't we see a charity football match? Now, granted, this is boxing and it's necessarily not for charity, but we saw a charity football match. You had some former pros. Soccer Aid, right? You had celebrities, you know, like your Chunks and your Young Philly, and you had females as well. What harm does it really cause?
Yeah.
Really?
I think the thing, like, what like the hardcores might be worried about is if it's like kind of taking up our space, so to speak. So if there's a schedule of fights and then all of a sudden this starts to take over where we're not seeing fights made because of this, that's when it could turn into a problem. But I'm not seeing any evidence of that so far.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
like it's cool, man.
And I think boxing's always got an issue about marination, right? I think everything seems to have this thing where, oh, let it marinate. I don't agree with that per se, but I think there's that theory in boxing anyway. So I can't see that happening. But yeah, so we moved on from Lickle Man.
Yes.
Josh Taylor,
man.
I think that's really the best place to start with the UK.
Well, I mean, I didn't know much about, like, I'm not going to butcher his name. Let's just say Kong Song, I didn't know much about him. I looked at him and I thought, yo, he's undefeated. He's a Thai fighter. And I know that Thai fighter and their reputation, these guys can fight. You know what I mean? I've seen the videos and like all the Muay Thai stuff and everything. And I thought, okay, it's IBF mandatory defense. Josh Taylor needs to do it. It's not like he handpicked this guy. He was quite tall, quite lean, this person. So I thought maybe he might be able to do something. I'm not expecting him to win by any means. And it was kind of like stepping into the unknown as to what he could really do. But then the fight just turned out to be a bit of a blowout, didn't it, man? I mean, it was
weird.
It was a weird ending. I wasn't particularly happy it was on during the same time as Bradis and Dorticus, to be honest.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, Josh Taylor did what he had to do. I mean, like I said on my fan talk with Ewan, like, you don't get paid for overtime. You know what I'm saying? You've got to finish your dinner.
100%.
So he had the guy in there, he saw a great opportunity to land a body shot, he did. And then when he went down, man, I was like, yeah, this guy looks like he's been shot. You know, like the way he was rolling around, I was like, yo, that must have been a great shot, man. At first I didn't know what was going on. But then obviously the replays showed that, you know, it was a goodly timed body shot from Josh Taylor, and it really took my man up. Yeah,
and I mean, I think, look, everybody's going to say it. You know, you go on Twitter, everybody was like, well, what happened there? What the hell happened there? You know, what's wrong with this guy? It's a strange one because I'm not going to say he started the round well, but there were points where you was thinking, okay, maybe this is going to be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, we spoke earlier and we said, we don't know the guy, we don't want to write him off, and we feel maybe he's here for a reason. You know, they were both 16-0 essentially, although Kong Sung had only fought in Thailand. And then you're kind of looking at it and you're thinking to yourself, okay, he's got this weird stance, like he's on his toes, and he had a bit of that Sagat vibe from Street Fighter. Yeah. And then they just took one body shot. It was probably their first real exchange where they both threw punches, and he was on the floor like he'd been shot. And you're just thinking, what is going on here? And I do want to draw, the reason I say it is I want to draw to an interview I saw earlier. I think it was Umar on IFL. He interviewed Aram, and Aram was really slating this fight. And he was like, look, why is this guy fighting? It's like,
didn't see that interview. I didn't know.
He's like basically saying, who is this guy? Nobody knows him. Like, why is this why is this on TV?
Let's be real. Let's be real, man. The sanctioning bodies and their rankings are BS, man. We can talk about that for the whole podcast. If you want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, but this Kong Song, I don't know. I knew that, like, well, I didn't know who he was, but I just thought, you know what, maybe he might offer something. You know, undefeated, you're stepping into the unknown, you've got nothing to lose. You're a Thai guy, you know, you've got that reputation. I thought at least maybe he might drag man a few rounds, especially with Taylor being out of the ring for so long.
Yes.
But didn't turn out that way,
Didn't turn out that way at all. And I mean, you're watching it and you're like, I think it's not a good look for Taylor. I mean, like you said, he had to take this fight, but he wants the big fights. And, you know, everyone's going to say he's fought a lot of undefeated fighters. And I think, you know, guys like Baranchek, they were really great wins. Prograis, fantastic win. But you add this up to it and you just think, it's not the level. And obviously the Ramirez fight is going to come next. I think they need to make that fight ASAP. I mean, even on that showing, and I know I'm probably being overly critical here, I don't see why they can't make that fight this year, December. You know, if you get the Fury Wilder fight happening, the third one, that should go on the undercard. They were talking about it in January, February, maybe. Yeah. But to counteract your point there,
because I brought up that same thing. I said, this ain't good for Josh Taylor, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's knocked this guy out in one round. He ain't been in the ring for over a year. Like, how's this going to be good for him? But somebody said to me, they were like, maybe we need to look at it another way. Like you said, he's been in the ring with Baranchik, Victor Postal, been there with Regis Prograis, all hard fought 12 rounds against all of these guys. And, it's his first actual fight underneath Ben Davison as well. But then they say, there's nothing wrong with having like a soft touch in this particular sense, because he's still been in the ring, he's kept sharp, and he goes into the Ramirez fight fresh, not having gone off a hard 12 round, points decision win. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know what it is? Because I think sometimes we forget the Prograis fight was almost a year ago. It was last year, October.
Yeah.
So while I do see what they're saying, I think it's more the first round performance. If it had been a 6-7 rounder, then I think I would have been like, fine, maybe make it for January, February. But for me, because it was such a lackluster performance from Kong Song, I don't even know where the amount.
Didn't break a sweat, did he?
Nobody broke a sweat.
Didn't break a sweat, man. After the fight, he looked fresh. Like he go out clubbing or something, man.
I'm telling you, if they had lined up a fight for next week, I'm guaranteed he could take up. He could turn up. So I do see their point, but I'm just like, no. I think, if you're talking about delivering for the fans, I think they got to make that fight. And also because Ramirez had such a relatively poor showing against Postal.
He was poor to me.
Yeah, so I'm not. Yeah.
How did you see that fight with Postal going?
Ramirez, sorry.
I mean, Ramirez. Taylor Ramirez.
Yeah, I still back Taylor. I have to be honest with you. I think Ramirez
quite strongly.
To me, and I think if you remember when we sat, I feel he's probably one of the Brits between him and Josh Warrington. They kind of like the kind of standout fighters. Obviously, we know about Joshua, but I'm talking about like just taking on tough challenges, like back to back, winning titles. Yeah. I think they've both shown they can do that. Yeah. Ramirez, I think he offers. He's a dangerous live opponent. The location could play its part a little bit, if it's in the States.
Even without fans.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think without the fans thing, I just think Taylor's going to have a bit too much for him. I think he can grit down, bite on his gum shield and just tough it out, have a really tough fight. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
Same. He's a very spiteful character, like Frampton said yesterday on the show. He's a spiteful individual, man. I think that Taylor will box smart because he's got the ability to do both. He's got the ability to box smart and to get gritty and fight. That's one thing that's very good about him. And personally, for me, obviously, while we cannot overlook Jose Ramirez at all, he beat Maurice Hooker, who I rate highly. Do you know what I mean? He beat him and he knocked him out. Yeah. So, I do rate him. Maybe it was, you are allowed a bad performance here and there.
Exactly, yeah.
So, he didn't look great against Postal, but that doesn't mean that he might not have the performance of his life against Taylor. Yeah. So, while I do think that Taylor needs to be on his game, I just think if he's at his best and Ramirez is at his best, I'm picking Taylor.
That's I mean, people are going to say we're being biased because it's
not being biased.
I agree with you.
I'll be honest with you here. I'm not Taylor's biggest fan personally. I'm not. I can. The thing is, I can separate it though. Like I can admire his boxing ability, but I'm not his biggest fan. So
I agree with you. I don't think he sells himself quite really well. If we're being frank, in my opinion, I think sometimes he's a bit too aggressive when it's not needed as well. But I'm just like you. I think he's just going to have that bit much for Ramirez. And I don't even look at the Postal fight as maybe, like you say, as being his off night. I just think Taylor is that good. I think skill-wise, I think you look at how he's kind of come onto the scene, especially since the O'Hara Davis fight. I just think he's kind of gone strength to strength. Yeah. So he's not backed down from any challenge. His list of tough Baranchik, I thought that was going to be like a
that was tough, a gut check.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to come through that, if I'm being honest. Because I just thought Baranchik was on. He had a bit of momentum, that Eastern European kind of like tough doggedness, and for me, I think he beat him comprehensively. For me, I think Taylor. I would back Taylor in going into that fight. For sure. I just think he needs to get it going now. How do you think the bond or relationship? And again, we didn't see much, but between him and Ben Davison, you think that's going to prove better? A better coaching style than opposed to McGuigan?
I think Shane McGuigan is very good. I rate him highly, Shane McGuigan, and I thought him and Josh Taylor went well together. They worked well. They understood each other's strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. I think if he was to go, the next best person probably would be Ben Davison for Josh Taylor. They seem to get along really well, have a good relationship outside the ring, and that's important, you know, for a fighter and a trainer. So, I can see them two blossoming together, really. I think it's a good partnership.
Yeah, and do you think Ben Davison generally's got... I'm going off topic a little bit, but, you know, obviously he's split up with...
Fury.
Not Fury, Billy Joe
Saunders.
Yeah. Do you think that is going to hinder him a little bit? I mean, I think, look, he's got good talent in this stable, but you're talking about Fury, Billy Joe Saunders that are fighting really at the top elite levels, which Josh Taylor is, don't get me wrong, but I guess for the longevity that of their career, how long they've had their boxing career, do you think it's a bit of a worry that, you know, these guys don't want to stay with him?
Not really, because when you look at Fury and Billy Joe Saunders, they regularly switch trainers. Like Billy Joe Saunders, he's been with the Ingalls, he's been with Tibbs.
Yeah, wasn't he with Booth even at that stage,
He's with Booth for a little while.
Yeah.
So I don't think Ben Davison should take that, you know, to heart that he's left him. He's been with him before and he's gone.
Yeah.
I think Billy Joe's just same with Fury. These guys will just they'll have whoever feels right for them, you know, for the particular fight.
Yeah.
I think Ben needs someone to kind of work, you know, alongside with long term. I think that Josh Taylor would be the perfect person for him to do it.
Yeah.
He's got the profile.
Yeah.
And they seem to, like I said, their chemistry seems to be really good outside the ring.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, give Ben Davison a chance, man. I think that he might be the guy. I was quite disappointed when Shane McGuigan left. It was a kind of sad ending to see how they both split. With the whole court thing between the McGuigans and that's just how it is at the end of the day, man.
That's boxing politics,
that's
right?
It, yeah.
And is that resolved? I can't remember if that's really been resolved.
I don't think so. I think it's ongoing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was ongoing. Like there was
Frampton one is anyway.
Yeah, Frampton. I think Frampton won this, but I think this one seems to be like maybe due to Corona and everything, it's probably taken a back seat.
Corona messed everything up, man.
I'm telling you, the year of 2020.
Yeah.
So let's crack on to the US card. I'm going to start first and then I'll let you take over, bro. But I've got to say, man, I was massively disappointed.
I was thinking of you during that fight. I was thinking of you during that fight, man.
I mean, sorry, and it's not Corona for people saying he's coughing now. It's not Corona, it's just a chesty cough. Duke didn't turn up. Look, I've got to be, like we were saying, you've got to be honest in boxing, right? As much as we've got people that we like, even if I like somebody, I'll still have to be honest with what my eyes saw from what I understood.
It's a Casemiro fight.
Right? Yeah, the Casemiro fight, the Duke Michael and Casemiro fight, sorry, thank you for that. Yeah, he just didn't turn up. Casemiro was on it. I think the fact that he was fighting on the US, which I didn't realise, he's probably looking at this as like, this is my Pacquiao moment. I mean, guy was doing street fight uppercuts. Bro!
That Casemiro is serious, man.
Bro!
Yeah.
He was, I mean, he's dangerous. So I know they're lining up the Inoue fight.
Yeah.
That's going to be huge.
That's going to be massive.
That's going to be huge. I mean, you watched the fight, obviously. Talk to me not just about Micah's performance, but also Casemiro. How much did he impress you?
I thought Micah did all right in, what was it, round 2?
Yeah.
I thought he did all right. Like, he was standing up to Casemiro. And like he was landing, and I was thinking, he's not showing that much fear. But when he got caught, it was literally just it was just the end of it. It was just the end.
Yeah.
And he like, I know you said that the referee should have stopped it. I think what was it, the third round?
The third round, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that the referee, it was very tough for him to step in there because I was thinking, when does he step in? Because he was trying to throw back, but then like I know like he was taking some serious punishment then. And he's undefeated as well. We had to say that, he's not going to want to lose his record.
Yeah.
But, it was like, the writing was on the wall from that point.
Time.
When he got through to him, I was just like, it's just a matter of time, man.
And even in the second round where there was, I think he clipped him a little bit, but then he threw a hook which missed, but Michael was off balance. But really, it was just like his positioning of his legs. His legs just never looked stable.
No.
His legs never looked stable from that moment onwards.
Would you have stopped it in the third round then?
I think I might have even stopped it in the second round.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was looking, and maybe because I'm thinking, you can always live to fight another day. But Casemiro, like, if you look at the stats afterwards, he threw about 2 jabs.
Yeah.
Everything was a power punch. And at that level, you know what I mean? Like, continuous power punches, they can do a long-lasting damage. So, okay, you've come up against a tough fighter, you lose. Guess what? You can come back and fight again. Because tons of guys have lost, but they are able to bounce back. And I was just a little bit concerned because I was watching the positioning of his feet.
Yeah.
Didn't seem he had any sort of stability.
He's on skates,
It
man.
was on skates. It kind of looked like. I mean, there was one stage he literally turned his back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So
His power's for real, Casemiro, man.
but his power's for real.
Yeah.
Because Micah can punch, but Casemiro's. I mean, even like the guy saw 2 uppercuts. That's when the ref. I think that was the ref just said, "Nah, you're taking it too much showboating.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a football. It's not a football pitch.
Yeah.
It's a boxing ring.
Did the press ups at the end of it as well.
Bro, the
Guys,
press ups.
just take
I suppose one arm press ups as
One
well.
arm press up, yeah.
Bro.
He's a character, man. You know, he's going to be infectious, this guy.
I think so. Yeah, I think now that he's in the US, because I remember him when he fought Tete on the Frank Warren show.
Yeah, that Tete show fight, man. Jeez.
And everybody knew Tete can punch,
Yeah.
and he just wiped him out. So, yeah, look forward to seeing more from Casemiro.
He's very short, isn't he? What's his height compared to Inoue? Do you know what Inoue's height?
No,
Inoue's
I'm
quite
not sure.
tall, isn't he? Or is
Yeah.
he for that particular weight?
For the weight, I think he's got a bit of a, I want to say gangly frame, but yeah, for that weight, his frame isn't like really short and a bit stocky. Duke Mike has got that bit of width. I was going to say, then Charlo Derevyanchenko.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was a good fight, bro.
Great fight, man. Charlo, I was literally on the edge of my seat because, like I said, I like the Charlo. Do you know what I mean? I'm not the biggest fan of Jamel, but I do like Jamal. I like the way how he carries himself.
Yeah.
And going into this, man, Derevyanchenko fight, I thought, this is going to be very difficult for him because this is Derevyanchenko's 3rd title shot.
Yeah.
You know, he's 34 years old, 35.
Yeah.
He's not going to have many more opportunities. He looked very good against Triple G.
Yeah.
Probably unlucky in that fight. Against Danny Jacobs, he pushed him all the way.
Yep.
So I'm thinking this is a tough test for Charlo, man, because he hasn't been, pulling up trees recently. So yeah, I knew people out there that were picking Derevyanchenko to win that, and I thought that Charlo just bossed it from the outset, man.
From the outset.
His jab and he was very authoritative with what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like every punch he was throwing was with bad intentions, and he wanted to let his guy know, like, look, you're not gonna be like, I'm not just gonna let you in. You're gonna have to force your way in.
Yeah.
And look at Derevyanchenko's face after the fight, man. He busted him up.
Right.
But again, with Derevyanchenko, the way how he got back into it in the later rounds, all the punishment this guy was taking, and he was forcing it.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough time, man.
It's tough.
And Charlo, I thought he was wilting in a couple of rounds. I thought that it got to him a little bit. Maybe someone else that could apply pressure. Maybe he's a bit taller that can force their way in a bit better.
Yeah.
Might give him problems, but take nothing away from the win, man. It was a great win for Charlo.
And on that point, I think what Derevyanchenko does really well is that he counters.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things, as you were saying, because he started like Charlo, I wouldn't say came out the blocks, but he kind of dominated. Like he took centre and he was using the jab and he was kind of like throwing some really powerful shots. And Derevyanchenko had answers, but I didn't think he had any. He wasn't making Charlo think.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, the middle rounds, I don't know if it was a stamina issue for Charlo. I mean, we'll find out. But Derevyanchenko really just seemed to time his punches really well, and I think that gave Charlo something to think about.
Yeah.
For me, Derevyanchenko is one of these guys that even when he loses, and we said it earlier in the day, he still comes out with the flowers. Yes, he's lost to Charlo. Yes, he's lost to Jacobs. Yes, he's lost to Triple G. But in all of those fights, everyone's like, yeah, he fought well. Right?
Everyone's come out there thinking, this guy can fight.
So these are like 3 fights that he's got points decisions that some people were even like, yeah, I don't even think the scoring was correct. Like, I think he's done himself a real massive, like, he's done his reputation a huge amount.
He's proved that a guy who takes an L can still retain his stature after a defeat. It's proof right there.
100%.
Because I'd like to see Derevyanchenko again. I mean, and a lot of people will.
I was going to say, do you think that we could see him against the likes of a Eubank Jr.?
I was going to get on to Eubank Jr. because I'm hearing, he's been calling out Charlo. And I'm going to be real, man. I think Charlo takes out Eubank, man. Charlo takes him out. Eubank, I don't think. I just think he gets hit too much. I was watching his fight against Spike Sullivan the other day, and he got hit a lot in that fight, man.
You shouldn't.
And I think if someone like Charlo, the way how he was fighting against Derevyanchenko, you get hit with one of them.
Yeah.
I just think, that might not be a good fight for Eubank. I think it'd be entertaining while it lasts.
Yeah.
But I don't know, especially with him being out of the ring for so long. When was the last time he was in the
December.
ring?
So for a lot of these
That's
guys,
right, yeah.
remember, but even then, it was like the phantom shoulder injury. So he fought Korobov, yeah, and then he had that shoulder injury, and then it was cancelled after 2 rounds.
Not very active. Beat an old faded James DeGale. laboured to a controversial win over Korobov in a fight that he had lost the first round. Hasn't fought this year.
Lost to George Groves, and I think the George Groves defeat was probably the most eye-opening for him. I know he kind of looks at the Billy Joe Saunders one, thinks he could have did something, but for me, the George Groves fight, George Groves just established a jab and just took him to school.
And do you know what the difference is? As athletic as Chris Eubank Jr. is, you're going up. Charlo is very athletic as well. He can match you in terms of that. And they're both middleweights, but I just think I don't think that's a good fight for Eubank.
Yeah. I mean, I think we may see that fight. I'll be honest with you. I do think we will see it. If Charlo doesn't get Triple G, I think we'll see Eubank, because I think there's there's money that can get behind that fight. I think UK fans would probably tune into that fight as well.
For sure.
But I'm in agreement with you, and I like Eubank. Every time
I'm a big fan of Eubank, man.
I'm a big fan of him. I just think his style will cause him problems. And when I mean his own style, because I think he's just all out action. I think it's kind of like perfect for Charlo to time him and just counter him and catch him with a couple of big shots. Maybe not one, but
do you think he stops him?
Do you know what? I'm starting to doubt. I'm going to be honest. I'm starting to doubt Charlo's power coming up the division. I would probably say no, but I think he will dominate him, and I think it will be similar to the George Groves, where Chris Eubank just can't find a way in. Do you know what I mean? So even though George Groves didn't stop it, he just couldn't find a way in to land these combination punches, because that's his success, isn't it? Like for me, when you see Eubank fight, he gets you, and then he's like bam, 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 2 or 3 shots at a time. I don't see him having that success.
And I don't like Pick, because I do like Eubank a lot. Yeah, so I feel kind of I feel bad going against him like this, but I have to keep it 100, man.
Yeah, we've got to do
I think that Charlo is a bad fight for him.
Yeah.
Maybe if I see Eubank in against with somebody else, someone similar to Derevyanchenko, then
Yeah.
Here's another question. Charlo in the middleweight division.
Yeah.
Jamal Charlo, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a very competitive division. How do you see him against the top guys like Canelo, Triple G, Saunders, Jacobs, Andrade?
Yeah.
In my opinion now, I think he beats Triple G. I think he beats Andrade. Canelo, I don't think Canelo can make middleweight anymore. But maybe Canelo would have the better of him in my opinion.
Yeah.
Who else did I say? Saunders. That's a great fight too.
Bro, that's the, after last night, that's the one fight that was really in my mind. And I was thinking, you know what? Him versus Saunders would be interesting. Who do I pick? I think I've got to give that to Charlo.
Yeah.
And I think Saunders is a great fighter, but you know what it is with Saunders? And in fact, when myself, you and Ade, we joined his show for his Ade and Friends, I think I was saying the same thing about Saunders. I think he needs to start coming out the back with tough fights. I think if we think back to now, was it probably the end of 2017 that he beat Lemieux?
Yeah.
And he did it in fantastic style. Everyone was raving about him. What's he done since then?
Nothing really, man.
Nothing really.
How much does he want to be in it now?
Right.
The Canelo fight was right there, and
you turned it down.
He didn't seem bothered to me. I don't know the guy personally, but it didn't seem like he was that bothered if he got it or not.
Exactly. And then forgetting that, and then adding to that, Andrade. You were scheduled to fight him, and then what happened? Your own fault. I don't care about this. Oh, it was caffeine, blah blah blah.
Nasal spray.
It doesn't matter. Rules are rules, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just now saying to myself, yes, is he really at the elite level? Because and of course he is, but we know from his skill set. But you look at the Chris Eubank Jr. fight. That was a tough fight, and if you go back and watch that fight now, you turn off the commentary. I'm telling you, you could probably have that as a draw. Because yes, Billy Joe Saunders was very successful in the early rounds, but in the later rounds, for me, mid to late rounds, Eubank really came on.
But Andy Lee, that was a good win.
That was a great win. That was a great win for him. But what did Andy Lee do after that? More or less retired, right? And I like Andy Lee.
Yeah.
So for me, I just think Charlo's, especially after this Derevyanchenko fight, I think he's shown that he's got this. His confidence quite, but he showed a lot of toughness. Because Derevyanchenko, I was saying to you, I was flirting between maybe a stoppage, but I went with the points win in the end. But Derevyanchenko was tough.
Yeah.
And Charlo wasn't really massively on the back foot. So my query with Billy Joe Saunders is, can he put guys on the back foot You know, a lot of times he looks good because they're hunting him, he's countering. Fine, that's his style. But someone like Charlo, I think you're going to need to do a lot more because that fight won't happen in the UK. It has to be in this. It will be in the States. So you're saying to yourself, what are you going to do to impress the judges to get the decision?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think it happened at all due to the whole network conflicts and everything else. But let's say it did. I think Billy Joe, he's got the style to kind of give Charlo fits.
Yeah.
He does. I think he can switch hit. He can like make you look clumsy. He can like he's got a great jab. When he switched on, and I think he will be for this one because these two don't like each other. And like I think that he'd be. I think it's a toss up, man.
Yeah.
I think it's a toss up really because it depends what Billy Joe shows.
Sounds like you want to say Billy Joe, but he hasn't. I think he hasn't given you enough to fully back him.
Not recently, no.
Yeah.
Charlo's gone in there, and I've always like, you know, a lot of people say they're hype jobs. They're not hype jobs. They're for real.
Yeah.
The Charlos are, both of them.
Yeah.
So, I think it depends. I'm leaning towards Charlo, literally because of Billy Joe Saunders' activity.
This is my
hasn't
thing.
been very impressive recently.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been busy enough.
Yeah.
Even with Eddie Hearn, we all thought, yo, this is a new start for Billy Joe.
Right.
This just literally looks the same old to me.
Fight exactly. And for me with Charlo, I do think if we're being honest, you know, he's done well in the lower division, junior middle. But I think also, like he's been calling out he has been calling out people. I think if it wasn't for maybe a bit of the promotional issues, I think he probably would have stepped in there with Triple G.
Definitely.
I don't think Charlo beats Canelo if he was to get in front of him.
Nah.
I think Canelo for me is elite. He's still kind of my pound for pound if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to myself, Andrade, I think he could beat him.
Yeah, I do now.
Yeah, and I think Billy Joe Saunders, I think he could beat him. I think Triple G, I would pick Charlo, but I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one last big sort of hurrah from Triple G in that sense as well. So, but yeah, I mean, let's focus on the brother. Is obviously Charlo versus Rosario. Again, and we've got to shout. I want to say shout out, but I think Showtime, from the whole famous Eddie Hearn quote last year, Showtime are done.
Yeah.
Charlo, you want another fight? You need to come to the zone. If you remember that, if you want to fight a middleweight, I think Charlo Jamel versus Rosario. Did I get that right or wrong, or is it?
Jamel Rosario. Yeah, Jamel
Rosario,
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
I thought that was a really good fight.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I thought Rosario. I thought that's where we might see the bigger upset. Obviously, I was totally wrong with that. But I was watching the fight and I was saying, you know what? Even when Rosario got knocked down in the first round, he didn't look massively wobbled. He did look a little bit shaky. Yeah, but he was coming forward still, and there was still periods. If you think during the fight, he was pushing Charlo back.
He was,
which you rarely see.
Yeah,
especially in the 154 division. So. Yeah, he got stopped. I mean,
he was brilliant for me up until in between the first knockdown and the ending.
Yeah,
I thought he was win. I thought he was on his way to winning. I thought he was like on the scorecards. He would have been behind, but in terms of the rounds, he was collecting quite a few rounds in the bank for me. The first round obviously is 10-8 to Jamel.
Yeah,
but then from like the second until third, fourth, I thought he was putting pressure on Charlo. I thought he was making him uncomfortable. He hadn't seen anything like that before.
His timing was like, in terms of countering, he had this little shoulder roll where he would just and then counter with a nice hook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought he was doing very well, but like that's a dangerous game. Someone like Jamel, who I think could jab more, to be honest, he does load up his power shots a lot. But we've seen why, because he knocked Rosario down 3 times, including the ending.
Bro, exactly.
And the ending, man, I was a bit worried, man. I was just like, I don't like the way how he's on the floor like that.
Just because it was the start of the round as well. He just came in and you're like, where did that shot come from?
Where did that come from, man? Jamel, I think over the years since he defeated Jackson, he's really been reliant on his power.
Yeah.
For me, and I think that Derek James could take it back in the gym and say, let's get back to basics and work on the jab a little bit more.
Yeah.
The knockout will come because you do tend to have serious power in both hands.
Yeah.
But he's no doubt the best 154 pounder in the world. He secured that yesterday.
Yeah.
I'd pick him over anyone in that division right now.
Yeah.
And the confidence is up. The Charlos, like both of them.
Yeah.
This was an acid test for both of them. These fights were, man, and they came through it.
Yeah.
So now it's. The floor's open for them to become stars, man.
100%.
And Jamel, like, great win for him.
Yeah.
Great win for him.
Yeah.
Rosario, he's a tough guy. Like Dominican Republic, been through poverty.
Yeah.
And Jamel did what he had to do, man.
Banana man.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think you hit the nail on the head there. He did what he had to do. It was a huge acid test. Again, I didn't even pick him to win, although I knew he would perform. He has to be the best 154 pounder out there at the
Without
moment,
question. Yeah.
right? All this talk of Liam Smith or Liam Williams, I don't think they're on the level.
No.
And it's going to kind of lead the segue into one of the next topics.
Before you do,
Yeah.
I think the commentator highlighted it yesterday. Their chins, very underrated, the both of them.
Big time. Yeah. I mean, that was my question, because for me, Rosario, I thought I actually felt he had a strong chin.
Yeah.
And, he took some shots, but obviously he got knocked down three times. But what I would say is that, what impressed me a little bit with Charlo was that he never really got phased. And I like the fact that he was switched on. So when I say switched on, I think that when Rosario landed some big shots, if you notice, really Charlo probably may not gone down, but I think he might have been wobbled. But the first thing he did, he clinched.
Held, yeah, he was very good at that yesterday.
He was very good at that. And for me, I always like that because it shows the fighter's thinking. It's like, oh shit, I'm hurt. Let me do something about it. So for me, that was probably one of the most impressive things. I think Rosario, again, didn't do himself any, disservice, because I still think after the first knockdown, he was putting on a fight. He was hunting Charlo.
He was doing very well.
He was using the jab, coming in with hooks, he was going to the body as well. You could see Charlo, I'm not going to say didn't like it, but Charlo's game plan of maybe trying to box wasn't going to work. It was going to have to be a bang him, to kind of like a big shot to get him out there.
He's been there before.
Yeah.
He's been in this position before where he's been behind. Like, look against Jackson.
Yes.
Look against Tony Harrison. There's another fight as well, I can't remember now. He's been behind in these fights.
Yeah.
And he's come back to win. So he knows, I think, look at the guys who he's training with as well, man. He's got Errol Spence there. Yeah. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
I think that he was never worried. he was never like thinking, this fight could slip away from me.
Yeah.
He always seemed like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with you on that. So, I mean, for me, I think overall, I think Showtime are up. I think, as I was joking around with the whole Eddie Hearn comment, but I think, they've made a massive comeback through this pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, they've still got more fixtures to come through, Gervonta Davis and the likes. But I think last night, given that it was a pay-per-view, the event, I was looking online, seeing some of the trends. I think their impressions, in terms of like the coverage, doing very well. Even compared to the UFC fights, they dwarfed them by about 5-6 times. So there was a lot of people, there was a lot of eyes on this. Every time I went on Twitter, I saw the hashtag Charlo Derevyanchenko. So I think Showtime, Espinoza, obviously PBC, I think they got to give themselves a huge pat on the back, because that was 6 world title fights on show.
Yeah.
Really on one card, because we watched it straight. I know it's a two separate, but it's one card.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, look at the times we're going through right now, and as a boxing fan, how could you not be happy with that? I mean, there's a lot of politics, as we know. There's a lot of like people that might not like the PBC or don't like Eddie Hearn or whoever. But listen, man, just embrace the boxing and just be happy with what we've got. Yeah. I think that it's good to have Showtime back. It's good to have competition.
Yeah.
It's good to have these sort of fights, and it will make everybody else raise their game.
Exactly.
Eddie Hearn will look at that card last night and he'll be thinking, I need to do something here.
Yeah, exactly.
And same with Bob Arum, same with anyone that wants to, do something with their company or brand. So I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think we should embrace it. I think we should be happy, and I think the BBC and Showtime did very well last night, man.
Yeah, I think they did fantastic. And they've still got a lot more to show, because I think, are we about 3 or 4 weeks out from Spence Jr. versus Garcia?
Yeah, that's mid to late November, isn't it?
Oh, it's November. I don't know.
It's in November.
I was thinking it was October. But yeah, so I think for me, they did a great card. I also want to give a shout out to Derek James. I think he doesn't get enough credit for what he's doing with fighters at the moment. I think he's got 2 really,
outstanding talents.
And I think now you're going to see his I'm going to say the bounce back ability, but obviously we saw Charlo lose to Harrison. Whether it was controversial, he lost his title. He came back, he got his title back, and now he's taken on a tough opponent, and he stopped him. I think Errol Spence, the toughest thing he's going to have to come back from is, it's not just that Porter fight, it's the car crash.
Yeah.
That inactivity, how has he been managing sparring? How has he been managed the types of training that he gets into? For me, I think as a coach, he's probably shown his worth here, really really high, because I think it's not just about what he does with them in training. I think it's their relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing the Spence return. But I think last night, you know, Derek James got to take a bit of credit, because Charlo listened to the instruction, and he definitely, you know, with that body shot, I think he was told switch it up. Put it on him. So I was happy with that. One of the things I did want to talk about though, it's a strong rumor, and it's kind of linked into this: Crawford versus Brook.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to be honest. I like Crawford. I think Brook is overrated.
Do you?
I think Brook is.
You not having Brook?
I just think he's okay. But I look at, you know, the Porter win, fantastic. How long ago was that now? And what did he do after it?
Here's a question for you then.
Mm-hmm.
Brook, overrated. Is he not the toughest opponent Crawford's faced up to date now then?
This is the problem. Yeah, and I would argue. I mean, at 147, 100%. Probably not in terms of critics. I think, although he dispatched off Victor Postal quite easily, going into that fight, there was a lot of noise around Victor Postal. So I think that probably would have been, if you look at it at the time, that was probably
hindsight's a great thing. We could always say, it was easy win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but at the time,
in terms of talent, resume, I don't know. You just critique Brook's resume a little bit.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, I think that this might be the toughest opponent Crawford's faced, and Brook's not. He's not like in his prime right now for sure. But I guess it depends how he kind of adapts again back to 147 pounds. When was the last time he fought at 147? Because he's been a bit overweight for some of the other fights. And
was it the Errol Spence fight?
Yeah.
That was the last time that he fought at
147. So I know he's been keeping in good shape. And, you know, Brook, for me, he's got a good jab. He's got good fundamentals. He's strong.
Yeah. Definitely
the strongest opponent Crawford's faced. So yeah, I think it could be interesting early. Like not necessarily as it winds down, because I think Crawford will break him down.
Yeah.
But I think that if Crawford, I mean, we saw against Mean Machine, the guy knocked him down. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
If Crawford can, if Brook can land regularly, and if he can get his confidence going, then I think early on it might be interesting.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think my point was probably more not just against Brook. I think it was even unlike Crawford as well. But I think it's not good for him. You know, I'm asking myself, where's his career really going?
Yeah, that's another question.
Because you're fighting Brook, who lost to Spence, who's the guy you really want, and he lost to him 4 years ago now. Was it 2016 they fought?
2017, him,
2017,
Spence and Brook fought.
Right, him and Spence, right. So 3 years ago. So you're saying to yourself, the guy that Brook really wanted to fight, you just beat him last year in Khan. So you're thinking you've gone from Khan, Mean Machine, to Brook.
Yeah.
Like, you really can't even tell if that's a trajectory or if it's just going downhill, if it's a downward spiral. Because Khan's probably the biggest name out of all three of them, but is he the best talent? Probably not. And I'm just asking myself, from Brook's perspective, shouldn't he be chasing the 154 guy? So shouldn't he really be saying, you know what, I want Charlo, I want a Rosario? But the look on your face says, oh, we don't think he can hang with those guys.
But that's a horrible fight for Brook, man.
Bro, he can't hang with Charlo after what we saw last night.
Yeah. Crawford, whose fault is it? Or who's, I guess not to say whose fault, but what kind of side you leaning towards? Is it the side of, you know, Crawford and Arum, they're trying to make these fights happen, but they're being met with resistance from the BBC? Or do you look at it like, you know, the other side of the street, so to speak, all the talent's over here, you need to come over here and really try and make these fights with Porter, with Pacquiao, with everyone else. Like
Spence,
Ugas. There's a lot of guys, man.
They're all there.
They're all over there. And like, we're seeing Mean Machine, we're seeing Crawford, we're seeing Khan, we're seeing Brook. And like, Porter and his dad, Sean Porter and Kenny Porter, they both were very vocal about fighting Crawford.
Yeah.
And like, I thought, yeah, man, this is a good, like, let's make that happen. Like, no, the schedules are not clashing. Like, this should happen. We've seen PBC and Top Rank work before. So what is it? Like, what's actually preventing Crawford from crossing this street?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have the answer, but I mean, like what your former statement was, is that I think the fault
is it more in line with Crawford and Top Rank?
In my percent, and not necessarily even Top Rank, because I think Arum does what he does. Like, of course, you know what I mean. Like, even in the interview I referred to, he's saying that Eddie knows crap about pay-per-view. So Arum does what he does. He has a history with Al Heyman, so that's not going anywhere. I think Crawford should look at, in my opinion, he should look at Billy Joe Saunders as the example. Billy Joe Saunders was with Frank Warren. He couldn't get any fights after, really the Lemieux fight. He struggled, and he had his issues. It was only the Andrade fight that got made, but even then it was, it wasn't ideal. What did he do? He signed with Eddie Hearn. Now, I'm not saying that Crawford has to sign with PBC, but I think he shouldn't narrow his options, that he's staying with Top Rank and they can't deliver any fights. After Khan, after Mean Machine, he really should be saying to himself, who you guys bringing to me? Listen, I'm a 147. I'm not getting any younger. I want to test myself. The guys I want are all over there. If it's not even like he doesn't know, it's not like it takes us long to figure it out. If they said to us, Crawford's fighting you guys tomorrow, we'd be like, oh, that's a big fight. If you said he's fighting Garcia, Thurman, before even mentioning Spence and Porter, you would be like, oh, these are big fights. So it's like PBC have literally got a tier 1 and a tier 2. You got Spence, Pacquiao, probably maybe Porter as their tier 1. Then you've got Thurman, Ugas within that tier 2, and maybe even a Jaron Ennis. Do you know what I mean? Now, Crawford, why would he fight Jaron Ennis? I get that. It's low risk, low reward. But I just say to myself, who's advising you to sign up to this long contract and stay in a place where there's no fights for you? And I also think there's history, because he didn't get the Pacquiao fight when Pacquiao was with Top Rank. And arguably, he didn't even get the Lomachenko fight. You might be thinking, well, why Lomachenko? He was unified at 140. Lomachenko's fighting at 135. There could have been something that would have made that fight happen. So you've got to ask yourself, to your point, Brooks, the biggest fight he's fought since he's with Top Rank, the biggest name. Even if I think it might be postal, that's still a perception you're allowed to have. That's not good.
And how old is he?
He must be 33,
33 now?
Yeah, it must be.
And because you know what, there's other people that seem to think it's the PBC that are not that are at fault, but I think Crawford wants it. I've seen the face-off with him and Errol Spence behind backstage, and I could tell he wants it. He's not just blowing hot air.
Yeah.
Something is not, I don't know what it is, whether it's a money issue or not, but I just need to see more from their end. I've seen Crawford exchanging over Twitter with Errol Spence and those. I've heard that they've had FaceTime calls with each other.
Yeah.
So by no means am I saying that Crawford doesn't want it. He surely does, but I'm thinking, why are we not seeing it? Why? There's so many guys to choose from over there. Like you said, like Furman, Ugas, Garcia, Errol Spence. Obviously, that's what we want. Pacquiao. Yeah. There's so many guys, but we're getting Khan, Mean Machine, and now Brook. And while I do rate Brook, I'm not picking him to beat Crawford.
Exactly.
I would have much preferred to see him fight Sean Porter, and that fight could have been made.
Oh, Ugas.
Yeah.
And that fight could have been made. And when people say the PBC side, I do get what they're saying, because you have to look at it. The top talent is over there, and I will 100% say this. I do not, for one reason, doubt Crawford doesn't want to fight those guys. I'm not saying that he's ducking them. For me, Crawford's probably one of the realest dogs in this boxing game.
Yeah.
If you stepped, he's got that Dillian White mindset. If you step to him outside the studio and you lay hands on him, trust me, he's putting hands back on you. So
what about Gary Russell?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, but my thing with him is just that whatever contract or whatever is stopping you from being able to negotiate with them, I think clearly that's the Top Rank, that's the Arum. Do you know what I mean? Because the only fight that's big enough is Errol Spence Jr. And Brian, why would they? I mean, everything with the car crash and whatnot. But why is Spence going to jump into a Crawford fight when he could even just fight Pacquiao?
Yeah.
Like that, even that alone, I know he's fighting Garcia, but if he goes into the Pacquiao fight, that's huge.
Massive.
Legacy and money. They're saying, Crawford, what are you doing? And so whether this is a part of it, which I hate because we saw this with the Wilder Joshua, is your percentage splits.
Yeah.
Because right now,
have to let up a little bit, I think.
Exactly. But I don't think Crawford is going to let up, because I don't know if Crawford's being realistic. I think Crawford's a man, he wants at least 40%. I don't know if he gets that if he fights Errol Spence Jr.
Yeah, that's where the issue is going to be, because Crawford, in many people's eyes, is ranked higher in the pound for pound list than Errol Spence is.
Yes.
He's a former undisputed champion. He attracts big crowds to Omaha.
Yeah.
So in his eyes, why should he take 35% against Errol Spence or 40%? And I hate getting into this whole numbers thing, man, because I don't care. I don't care how much you get paid.
Exactly.
I'm paying out my own money anyway.
Exactly.
So
and
I'm not bothered who gets what. I just want to see it. And you do have to sympathise a little bit and just say, yeah, maybe like Errol Spence, he's fought on the bigger stage. He's had like big wins. He's been on pay-per-view, headlined against Mikey Garcia. And he's a star. Came over to England, did very well over here, as you know, took the belt from Brooke. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not over there in America, so I don't know how the demographics are between who's more popular and who's not, but it just seems like Errol Spence is in a bit more of a commanding position than Crawford is in terms of like who gets what split. But we're gonna have to overcome that, man. If we're gonna make so, both men are gonna have to just like maybe bite their tongue on a little bit of things and maybe let that pride go a little bit in order to get it made, man. But I can see what Errol Spence is doing. He's picking up the belts along the way, so he gets more of a say in terms, and he's got the advantage because it's all on the PBC.
It's all on the PBC, and I think it all in a weird way, like Crawford runs out of options. So even I think he'll beat Brooke. I don't even think it will be a challenge, to be honest with you. But because I just worry about Brooke and his whole training to get to 147. Now he's been out for a while. Maybe he's kept his weight down gradually, but I'm just like, you're not a welterweight anymore.
No,
you're really not. So I think Brooke will lose. I think Crawford will take him on. But my question to you is, who does he fight after?
What's after that? That's the big thing. What's next? Like, because there's only so much we could say. Then you're running out of guys that are not in the PBC to fight.
Thank you.
It's going to have to be one of them soon.
It's going to have to be. And then what they're going to do is maybe throw you a Jaron Ennis. Because they're like, well, because PBC will look at it, well, he doesn't have a belt. He's hungry, he's confident, he's got a good skill set. Do you know what? Just put him in with Crawford. And then what's Crawford going to have to say? No? Okay, well, who else are you going to fight? I mean, then, look, I've got a lot of time for Chris Congo. He's been on the platform loads of times. But if you start telling me that Crawford's going to end up fighting Chris Congo in a year, then I'm sorry, Crawford's wasted his career at 147. Because he shouldn't be fighting Chris Congo. Chris Congo still needs to develop in terms of, like, getting experience, fighting on the world stage. Do you know what I mean? You can't tell me that that's a suitable opponent. And I just don't think, because what I found was weird was Crawford and Crawford was like, he doesn't want to fight Porter because they're friends or that.
Yeah, but Porter was on it.
Porter was on it.
Porter was on the smoke.
Porter was on the smoke.
And since when does Crawford ever turn down a fight like that? You know what I mean?
And that's what I think, because the styles at that stage, because Crawford, as much as he's a dog and he's a really good fighter, like you said, he can switch it. What I do think with him is that defensively, I think he's being shown up a little bit, not massively, but just a little bit.
He can get
touched, right? And I think Porter is a frigging dog. Like, he's on you, he's on your chest.
Porter,
you would hate to fight him. And I always felt like that would be one of the toughest fights for Spence Jr. And I think to me it was. He's a real dog. I just don't know where Crawford goes from here.
I think if he looks impressive against Brooke in November, and I welcome it because they've been out the ring for a while, and like obviously he's like unprecedented times right now. But next year, and I don't want to be that guy, but next year, if I don't see signs of or Crawford fighting anyone in the PBC, then I'm gonna have to think that this is probably not gonna happen.
It's not
gonna happen. Because you're only getting older. I think you need to capitalise now.
100%.
The window of your prime is very small. So take advantage now, especially when you're 33, 34.
And even if you look back, you had the Charlo versus Hurd. Then Hurd lost to Julian Williams. And obviously Charlo lost to Harrison. But like Hurd's, like, I don't even know where he is now. Wilder versus Joshua.
Where's Jared Hurd?
But I don't know. He had one fight back because he changed trainers.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I was going to say Virgil Hunter, but he moved to a new trainer. But it was a lackluster performance.
What weight was that then?
Still 154.
Okay,
still 154, but
that's kind of weird then.
Yeah, because he bloated up massively. It may have been middleweight, but it wasn't a notable fight, so I can't remember the full details. But you look at Wilder Joshua, that took too long to make.
Too long.
And now, whilst that is still a big fight, the money was really there, when they both had their belts. So I kind of agree with you. I think somebody on the PBC side needs to make something happen. I think the challenge that we've got is they're not inclined to do any favours for Bob Arum. I think it's as simple as that.
We've seen the positive, ending this on a positive, we've seen that the PBC and Top Rank can work together.
100%.
So that fills me with optimism that it can be done.
It can be done.
I just think that both men, in terms of the fighters, they're going to have to just let up a little bit on the pride
Yeah.
and just try and get it done.
So last question on this though. So Crawford's fight is agreeing to fight Brook. So we know he's fought Khan. We know he fight Brook. Do you think he can then demand to fight Errol Spence? Now I know that's the fight we'll probably want to see. But if PBC said, look, okay, we want to marinate this fight. Here's Ugas first. Do you think Crawford has any right to turn that down, knowing that he's fought Khan and Brook at welterweight?
Why does he have to fight Ugas? Why him?
Because I think they're better than Khan and Brook.
But then you could say I could fight Danny Garcia, I could fight,
Fair, okay,
Shawn
so
Porter, I could fight, somebody else. But
And
yeah,
I do think Ugas gives him problems.
Yeah, I think he gives him hell.
Yeah.
It's a potential banana skin,
Yeah.
that one. Even more so than a Danny Garcia fight or a Pacquiao, even a Pacquiao fight. I
Yes.
think that Ugas is probably a bit of a more of a stylistic problem for Crawford then.
Crawford, good point.
So, I think I know what Crawford will be like. He's like, I'm not going to be dictated to by the bit. And Aaron will be the same. They're both hard-headed guys.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I'm saying. They're in a tough place.
but Spencer's fighting you got to give it to him.
That's what I'm
Danny
saying.
Garcia, that's a tough fight.
Bro.
After his car crash.
After his car crash.
He fought Shawn Porter. He's not fighting he's not fighting light guys, man.
Not fighting
His
light
competition is high.
I mean, he took the belt from Brook in his home country. Do you know what I mean? And after this,
Lamont Peterson as well.
Lamont Peterson, Mikey Garcia, which for some reason everybody thought Mikey Garcia would beat him.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. After this, he doesn't even have to look. Crawford doesn't even have to be a conversation for him.
Yeah.
Because Spence could be like, I agree to fight Pacquiao. I agree to fight Thurman.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I really wanted to see that Furman fight.
Right.
I really wanted to see that because Furman, and that's with Crawford, by the way.
Yeah.
Like the way he was talking, and
Yeah.
I saw him on was it Brian Custer's show?
Yes.
He was on smoke, and it was like the old Furman again, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, like Furman really wants this with Crawford.
Yeah.
And Crawford was going back and forth, and I said, yeah, this is a great introductory fight for Crawford in the PBC.
Yeah.
Someone like Furman who can be beat,
Yes.
but is still a quality operator who's got a lot to prove himself.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. So
there's too many options over
Too many
there, man.
options,
He's got to fight one of them next year. He has to.
big time. So moving on, we were talking about Pacquiao, so we might as well throw into the whole mix Pacquiao versus McGregor.
Let's not talk about this for too long.
Okay, we won't talk about it for too long. I mean, Pacquiao's come out with a statement saying that he sees this as a charitable thing that he's going to be able to do, whether that's true or not. But he knows he's going to make a ton of money.
Yeah, of course he is. Don't blame him, to be
From
honest.
McGregor, and he's talking his McGregor smoke as rubbish, I'll call it. But realistically, shouldn't somebody in his corner be saying to him, listen, this isn't going to be a Mayweather type of style of fight. This is going to be someone that's going to really hurt you.
This is someone that's still active. This is someone that's beating top 10 level guys.
Yeah.
He's not someone that's been out of the ring for a couple of years, who's got a defensive style that hasn't knocked anyone out since however long.
Yeah.
This is somebody that's still got it. He beat Adrian Broner.
He put Thurman down, isn't it?
Knocked Thurman down in the first round.
Yeah.
Literally in the first round, knocked him down. Pacquiao is still dangerous. Pacquiao is still being mentioned as fighting guys in the top of the welterweight division right now.
Yeah.
So this doesn't make any sense. Well, it does make sense in terms of monetary value, but in terms of competition, I don't know why this is happening. It would surprise me. I just think it's just pointless exercise. You're going to get towards the closer to the fight, McGregor will get people on board. You're going to get B-list, C-list celebrities saying, you know what, McGregor might do it, and it's not going to happen, man. We know exactly how it's going to end up. I think Pacquiao will probably knock him out. For sure. Well, not probably. I think he will.
This is what I mean.
There's McGregor's got no chance if it's boxing rules. Literally zero chance.
Yeah. And that's why I just feel like contractually, there'll be something that'll be just go easy on him. And I know you might say, nah, that sounds mad, but for me, the Pacquiao that we've seen throughout these years, and the Pacquiao that beat Thurman up against McGregor.
But how easy will Pacquiao go? He only fights one way.
That's what I mean. But maybe it'll be so evident he'll just maybe jab a little bit and then because bro, do you remember the stupidness where McGregor ran across Mayweather that way, then tried to turn back, and literally as he turned back, Mayweather just pivoted and just smacked him in his mouth. I mean, and the timing was unreal. So yeah, this will be bad for McGregor. This will be bad.
He'll get a beating. He'll get a beating in this one.
Huge. I think that's the key thing. So I mean, we've mainly really covered what's gone on in boxing this week. So we might as well move it on a little bit and maybe start talking about some future upcoming fights that are happening.
For sure.
I think the big one for me, and I've got more than a bit of an issue with this because I think we do get shortchanged when it's international fights. But it's Lomachenko versus Lopez. For me, this is a big fight.
Massive.
Like I think as it gets closer, you want to say it should be a Lomachenko win, but Lopez, the type of style that he has, he's a big puncher, knocked out Comey. You never know. COVID's done a lot to people, right? We don't know what he's been doing in Ukraine, but what the biggest disappointment of this fight is that it's not going to be televised in the UK.
Is it not?
No. So, but again, in this interview with Umar and Bob Arum's saying, listen, nobody's paying me for it.
Still time. There's still time though, isn't there? Still time. I mean, this can run till kind of late.
Yeah.
That's a very bad sign on us if we don't pick this up. But then it'll probably be on something like Fight TV or something like, you know what I mean? So it can be picked up again. But that's a damn shame. I didn't even know that.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Didn't know that.
Because he was going, Arum, he goes, this. I'm glad Arum's getting mad and I'll give you time to go. He was like, Usyk versus, like Arum's really on one. He's like, Usyk versus Chisora should be pay-per-view. That should be free. What are you doing? You need to give something free to the boxing fans. But what was hilarious, because he's like, it's like Sky, BT, you need to give something for free. You need to give something for free. And he was like, but you can't ask me to give you this fight for free. You need to pay me. So I was like, so you're telling them to give it for free, but then
Uncle Bob not playing about.
Uncle Bob, he's on those gummy bears. But yeah, I mean, look, that's a great fight.
Yeah.
Generally, what's your thoughts on that?
Teofimo Lopez. I saw a ESPN article. Top 25 under 25. So top 25 boxers that are rated by a panel under the age of 25. You know where Teofimo Lopez was? He was at number 1.
Wow.
Teofimo Lopez, for me, his attitude, he needs to go into this fight with Loma as he's been talking. I don't want to see him, like, all of a sudden when he's in the ring, become all, like, nervous or, like, not backing up his talk. He's got to go in there and fight the way how he's talking because he's very confident outside the ring. And I think that's the way he's going to have to beat Loma. Like, Loma, people forget he's not undefeated. Like, a lot of people seem to forget that. He has lost in the ring, albeit it was against
fanboys.
Yeah, albeit it was his second fight against Orlando Salido.
Doesn't matter.
And people going to reference the low blows. At the end of the day, he's taken out.
Yeah.
So
even the Gary Russell fight.
Yeah. Teofimo Lopez is young. He's strong, a lot more physically stronger than Loma. Yeah. Loma's not fighting at his natural weight. Teofimo can punch. He's very confident. So, Lomachenko skill-wise is, on another planet to most people. And if he's on his game, I will pick him. Yeah. But there's just something in me that's just not, like, I can't just say, Loma shut out or Loma makes him quit. Because Teofimo looks special to me. Yeah. And he wants it. He's called this out. Yeah. He's done something that Gervonta Davis hasn't done. Yeah. He's gone straight to the smoke, man. He wants it. Yeah. He didn't need to take this right now. He didn't. But he's gone straight to it. So for me, I think it's very dangerous for Loma, man. Especially if they mix it up close. Yeah. I think that, like, you don't want to get too close inside with him because I think that he can land something and hurt you. Yeah. We've seen Loma put down before.
That's what I was going to say.
So listen, man.
That was Linares. I know, fair enough, he beat him up afterwards, but still, we've seen it.
It's not. He didn't have his own whole way with Luke Campbell.
Exactly.
So like Lomachenko, of course, he's going to be the favourite in a lot of people's eyes, and so he should be. He's top 2 pound for pound for sure. Maybe number 1 in a lot of people's eyes. But don't write off Teofimo, man. There's something about him that I like. I like what I'm seeing. I like his confidence. Yeah. I like what him and his dad are doing. And I just hope that they bring that same mindset to the ring. I hope that they're not just talking to them when they get in there. They're going to like backpedal or not show the same sort of confidence. But I don't think they will. I think they will. They really believe this, man. Yeah. I see something different in what he's saying than what the likes of Nicholas Waters was saying. Yes. Rigondeaux, to be fair, he was talking up a lot as well. Yeah. But he's not the same sort of fighter as Teofimo.
And also the weight thing as well. I think that was in Lomachenko's favour. What I do find interesting, and it's going back to what you're saying about Lopez, I mean, that's really interesting to see that he's number 1 in the top, top 25.
Number 1.
What I find interesting, and I just can't put my finger on what it means, if it means anything, is his aura and he has so much respect for Richard Comey going into that fight. Yeah. Like I'm telling you, there was no trash talking. Yeah. Like, I don't know if it was because it was on the undercard of Crawford. I don't know, but there was zero trash talking, full of respect. You know, saying, "Listen, this is a tough opponent. Like, I need to be on my guard. Like, this guy can really cause me troubles here." And then you get Lomachenko, who arguably, look, most people would say he's a phenomenal fighter, phenomenal skill set, beats most guys that stand in front of him, and he's talking like he's going to wipe the floor with him. So I just can't figure out like where he's getting that from. What I will say is that I think I'm wondering whether we're seeing the downside to Lomachenko at 135. And the reason why I say that is I always remember Floyd Mayweather saying, you know, when it's time for Tank to fight, Lomachenko will make that fight happen, but it's the timing. And I just wonder whether the time is now, because you spoke about the Linares knockdown, think about the Luke Campbell fight, which again was a year ago. So what's Lomachenko kind of been doing in between that? Nothing. You kind of say to yourself, he's not young, and even when he came into the game, and you know, I had a lot of, I've got respect for him, but when everyone was like, oh, Lomachenko fanboy, me, I was always like, listen, my question with this guy is, why was he an amateur for so long? Because it's clear that he had the ability, so why did we need to see him in over 350 amateur fights? It was a waste of time. He should have turned pro a lot easier, and then he probably wouldn't have lost to the likes of Salido, because he got old men. Even the Gary Russell fight, it was a majority decision, but even there were times in the Gary Russell fight where he was putting it on him, and I think they did that at 126. So now you're talking about 135. You're getting older, coming up against fresh younger guys. I'm not going to say it's ingredients for an upset, but I'm starting to feel like I wouldn't be surprised if Lomachenko lost.
Them Eastern Europeans different though. Going back to your point about the amateurs, like they're built different on that. Like when they win a gold medal at the Olympics, that's like the pinnacle, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like the sunset is kind of like the professional career, isn't it? Lomachenko's got 2 gold medals. So I don't know. Like he did leave it quite late, but then I think like maybe with them, like they look at the whole like Olympic gold medal as something else. But I don't know. I think as great as you are, everybody has like Father Time doesn't wait for anyone.
Yeah.
So. I don't want to say that because I haven't seen much in Lomachenko for me to suggest that you know he's like on the slide, because he beat Luke Campbell convincingly despite the knockdown, and everyone's allowed to be knocked down. Is how you respond from it. Linares, he defeated him pretty impressively,
even with a knockdown as well.
But I just think that this isn't his natural weight. He's going up against a young, hungry guy, somebody that's going to step to you, somebody that can punch, somebody that's a champion himself, somebody that really believes himself, somebody that drove to you. You know, he came to you. This ain't no, like, this fight wasn't forced. This fight wasn't, he thought, no, I want this guy. So he's shown a lot more balls than Gervonta Davis has in terms of run into this smoke. And, I'm very, very intrigued to watch it.
And then with Lopez, I feel like the only thing we kind of say, I'm saying with the only thing, but we kind of resort to the power. I don't know if I've seen the skill set from him to kind of really nullify someone like Lomachenko, because Lomachenko just darts all around you, like he's pivoting, he's got this lateral movement, and if you're going to use your skill set as an opposing fighter, I think you need to tie him in one place. Do you know what I mean? You're cutting off the ring.
How do you prepare for it?
Setting off traps. Exactly. Like, who's your sparring partner?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it has to be a close range fight. And sometimes that favours Lomachenko. But I think if Lopez tries to fight at distance, I don't think that's going to go in his favour, because I think he'll get popped off a lot easier.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think, maybe if I'm wrong, but I swear Lomachenko, like, he did some type of ballet training when he was young, so he's got nimble feet, right? He's already small. So for me, I'm just thinking, what's Lopez? I think the big question for Lopez is, what are you going to do when you can't land a big shot? Because we've seen that in boxing. Plenty of guys can't land a big shot. What are you going to do afterwards?
You better be prepared for that too.
Yeah.
You better be prepared for some frustrating moments. You better be prepared for, you know, feeling like bedazzled at times. This guy, he's got to dance around. He's got the ability to apply mental pressure to you going forward, but his feet are so great that, like, he can duck in and out, he can dive out, so you're swinging, you're getting fatigued. This guy is still like, you see him over there, next minute he's over there. He's the Matrix for a reason.
Big time.
So listen, man, if Lomachenko's on his game, then I think it's going to be, it'll be tough, man. But that's why I'm so intrigued, because Lopez knows this. He's seen Lomachenko fight, and he's still going to it. So something tells me, this ain't like Mikey Garcia with Errol Spence, where I was never convinced about that. This is something else to me. I feel like Lopez sees something, but I can't just pick against. What is there for me to pick against Lomachenko right now? I can't do it.
Yeah, and I think it's still too early to call, but I'm with you. It's like, yeah, what is there?
Just the weight, I think. Just the weight category, knowing you're not at your natural weight.
But it's not like he hasn't, and I agree with what you're saying, but it's like, even for Lomachenko, it's not like he hasn't fought at 135 anyway.
Yeah.
Against guys that are probably taller than
Luke Campbell, a lot taller than him.
Do you know what I mean? And taller than Lopez.
Yeah.
Fair enough, they don't bang like him, but, you know, he had the disadvantage, if you want to say.
So we're saying that Lopez kind of needs to knock Loma out. Because he's not going to win a decision, really, is he? How does he win a decision?
Yeah, I agree. I don't see how he wins a decision.
So that's why I'm just like, as great as, you know, Lopez's confidence is, today, right now, it's hard to pick against Loma. Yeah. But it will be interesting.
It will be interesting. So moving on, we're going to speak about another Ukrainian. Again, a future fight. It's been announced, I want to say in the last 10 days. Yeah. Usyk versus Chisora.
Yeah.
That's another intriguing fight. Where are you at? What's your position on this fight?
Bad fight for Derek, man.
Yeah?
Bad fight for Derek, yeah. He's going up against someone that can jab.
Yeah.
And it's intriguing purely for the fact we need to see what Usyk's chin's like at heavyweight.
Yeah.
Can Chisora test it? We need to see Usyk's chin tested before we judge him against, you know, the big guys. He'll be aware of the danger, but Usyk can be touched.
Yeah.
But I just think that with Chisora, very inconsistent, you know. I mean, like everybody loves him. Oh, Derek Chisora, all that stuff. Yeah, like everyone loves him and stuff. Yeah, but like, look at him against what was that guy's name in Monaco when he fought that guy? Was it Cabby something? I can't remember, man.
So he has quite a few random fights, bro.
Lost that. Yeah. You know, somebody that can jab, somebody that can frustrate him, I think he's going to cause him problems. There's no fans in the arena as well, something that Derek thrives off. Yeah. If Usyk is switched on, which I imagine he will be, then I could see him winning quite convincingly, to be honest.
And funny you were saying this, because honestly, when I look at this fight, I think sometimes, you know, the doubt you have, I just think it's the corona and probably the fans. But I'm totally in agreement with you. I just think this is a dangerous fight for him. One of the things I would add to your pieces is the movement of Usyk. So I'm not going to say he's nimble because he's obviously still a big guy, but I think he's got such a well-timed jab. You know, we know that he's got the right IQ, and I think his movement around opponents is what really is standout. And I just sit there looking at Chisora, and you said it. I think you said his consistency. I think even if you look back to the Takam fight, that was the biggest one for me. He was getting battered.
Man.
And then he pulled it out. Okay, that's heavyweight, so I can't say much. The Dillian White fights is probably where we've seen him really perform well, but Dillian White's also a bit flat-footed, so you don't really get that huge amount of movement from him. I'm like you. I'm just thinking, for Usyk, the question mark is how is he going to react when he takes a punch from Chisora?
That other guy didn't test his chin.
There was a waste of time when you go with a spoon or whatever his name was, or Tim Witherspoon. And I think sometimes what we forget, because everyone's like, it's a heavyweight, how is he going to cope, blah, blah, blah. I say to people, well, okay, it's not totally the same, but David Hayes seemed to cope.
Yeah.
And David Hayes beat a much younger, fitter Chisora coming up from a cruiserweight rank, and he was never undisputed in cruiserweight. So if you're looking at Usyk, who took on mad challenges, probably tougher than David Hay, he's now fighting an older Chisora. How does that really work? So it's all about Chisora's mindset and how much he gets up for this fight. But do I think he can really cause Usyk problems? No, because I don't think he's going to be able to apply the pressure at a high enough rate to make Usyk kind of like throw his game plan out the window.
I think Usyk stops him.
Yeah.
I think he stops him, man.
Yeah.
I think he'll be probably 8th, 9th round, maybe similar to Bellew, where it's just you're so fatigued that he's just gonna, like, towards the end, he's just gonna take you out. There'll be a lot of tiredness, not necessarily down to his power, because I don't think he will have that much power at heavyweight. But I think Chisora will be so tired around that time. Swinging, trying to land on this guy, not getting much success. Usyk, you know, being how he is in the ring. I think it's going to be a tough night for Chisora, man, especially with no fans. Because if there was fans, like, you could land a shot, the crowd would be like, oh, and all, like, it might not even be like a proper shot. But all of a sudden, like, he's running forward, the crowd are on your back, and you might feel alone then. But no fans. Like, only thing for me that works against Usyk is obviously with his chin not being tested, is his injuries. You know, how is he going to hold up in the ring? If he can be injury free.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a lot of fights postponed with him.
Yeah, that's
so if he can hold up, then I think he wins pretty convincingly, man.
Yeah. I mean, I do think Chisora will be the one who will win convincingly. I know Fury recently came out and said he thinks Usyk would beat Joshua. I don't really see that.
Yeah, he will say that though, won't he?
Right? I don't really see that. I don't really think... Could he... Usyk versus Dillian White? You think he could beat Dillian White after what we've seen with the Povetkin fight?
Yeah, I think he can.
Yeah.
I think he can beat Dillian White, yeah. I'm not saying I'll pick him over Dillian White, but I think he definitely can beat him.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's good.
I just want to see
I like
him.
what you said that. That's right. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
Yeah.
100%.
I think he can, man. Like Usyk, the whole thing for me is how's his chin gonna hold up?
Yeah.
And like there are a lot of guys at heavyweight that can test him. Like Joshua, Fury,
Joseph
Wilder, Parker. I'd like to see him against all of those guys, man. And I think it adds to the intrigue of him being in that division.
Yeah.
Parker, what is he even doing right now? You know,
and he's waiting for a fight, but I don't know who he's going to fight.
Yeah, Parker, he's been disappointed. I've been disappointed in him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you made these great TikTok videos, whatever you've been doing, but like, who are you actually fighting, bro? Like, there's a lot of guys out there for you to fight. Most of the time now, I just see him like, you know, talking about Tyson Fury or how great of a friend he is. This is somebody that should be your opponent, and you're talking this guy up, man. So I've been quite disappointed in Joseph Parker.
Nice guy vibes.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that, bro. Like, exactly. We don't want to see that. We want to see you call him out.
Yeah.
We don't want to see you like say how much of a nice guy Tyson Fury is, and Tyson Fury beats AJ, and but you should be trying to fight them too.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
So I think Usyk beats Parker. Parker's not doing enough for me. I'm curious as to why he didn't take the Povetkin fight. I mean, he said something about, you know, Ukraine and Russia and that sort of thing, but he fought Gassiev. Yeah. So maybe he sees something in Povetkin that he don't like. But I'm curious to see how this journey plays out, man. I'm glad we're getting the Chisora fight. 100%. Hopefully Chisora can provide some sort of test, but just don't think it'll be enough.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think, bro, for me, I would agree with you. I just don't think Chisora is going to be able to do enough to really stop Usyk. But I don't think Usyk makes a big dent in the heavyweight scene, if I'm being honest. Do I think he might get a belt? Yes, because I think it's more than likely they're going to push for Joshua to be vacated. But if he avoids the top three, which is, you know, Fury, Joshua, Wilder, I think that's the only way he's going to keep those belts. You know, even the likes of Joyce. Yes, he'll probably beat a Joyce, but again, you never know. You know, if Joyce can put on a convincing win over Dubois.
He's beat Joyce before, hasn't he?
He's beat, exactly, yeah. But I think now you're talking about, you know, professional, true heavyweight as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, so Joyce is now really filling out. Yeah, I think Usyk might do okay, but I think he should have stayed at cruiserweight. But again, he clocked it, right? So what else do you do?
He did crack it.
He did crack it, so you move up. But yeah, I think the guys now, they're just too tall, they're too big, they're too fast. Like, as much as IQ is going to be important, like, it's that combination of a punch. Just same way we saw with Dillian White and Povetkin. They can land that combination, it's going to cause you problems. And Usyk is also a guy that takes hits.
Yeah. He's not a mover like Loma or anything.
Not at all.
He can take hits.
Yeah, he gets touched quite a bit. So yeah, no, that's it. So, bro, I mean, I thought I'd just give it over to you. Anything you want to say? Any more topics?
Nah, man, I think maybe we can close out on this one, man. Tyson and Jones.
Yeah.
You know, that's been rescheduled now for November.
Yeah.
Two heavyweight legends, man. Well, not heavyweight legends in the sense of Jones, but boxing legends, so to speak. Yeah. I'm conflicted on it because, like, I love both guys.
Yeah.
Don't want to see either one of them. We've seen Jones get hurt quite a few times. Tyson's, although they're both old, but what's your thoughts on it, man? Exhibition fight. Are you going to pay for it?
Yeah, probably. I want to say no. I mean, I don't know what the pricing is, but I hope it's not something ridiculous. If it's not ridiculous, then yeah, I'm probably going to pay for it. Yeah. It's a weird one. So when the fight was first announced, and you're probably going to think, Coach, what are you saying? But you know what? I was really convinced. I was like, you know what? Jones is going to stop Tyson. I just felt Tyson's done so much since his career ended. Like, I mean, everything: drink, smoke,
marijuana, all that stuff.
Yeah, he's still doing it on his podcasts, but I know he's getting in shape, but, you know, just these little 5-6 second bursts, as deadly as they are, a boxer can protect themselves from those. So I was thinking, you know what, Jones would be, still got the skill set. You know, you see him, he's been working with fighters for a long time, and now, you know, obviously Chris Eubank was in his gym, but, you know, Tudor North, tons of guys, and I just thought to myself, you know, he's still going to have the fitness. He's just going to move, be mobile. You know, the first few rounds, Tyson's going to tire out, and then he's going to just stop him. I know he's come out of this comment recently and saying, you know, I thought it was like I don't know what he said, something about Tyson's taking it too seriously.
Yeah, I didn't know I signed up for this.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's just to get the hype going again. Because,
Probably.
Yeah, right? I'm not, again, similar to like the rest of these guys, Pacquiao, McGregor and whatnot, I'm not against it. They need to make a bit of money. They're going to make a bit of money. They're two legends. This fight should have happened years ago when Jay Prince was trying to get that done, but he couldn't get the contract over the line. So yeah, I'm not like I need to watch it, but I will watch it.
Yeah,
How about you?
I'll watch it, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if I've watched, I watch KSI Logan Paul, and I don't care. I don't know them guys. I don't know. I don't like them particularly either. I still watched it just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
So of course I'm gonna watch two guys that I looked up to growing up. You know, going at it one last time. Don't really want to see either of them getting hurt, but when you look more deep at the rules and how it's supposed to be, it's just an exhibition, really, isn't it? So. There ain't no WBC belt on the line or nothing like that. Or they probably will create a belt for that a week or so before.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Opportunity.
So I'm all for it, man.
Yeah.
And us 2020 throwed up so much things.
Yeah.
Who would have thought we'd see this as well?
I'm telling you.
So
have they got a location for it then? It's
in LA, isn't it?
It's in LA. Okay, fine. Yeah, bro. Like I said, then it's not illegal. This is the thing. I think people need to stop being so emotional. It's not illegal. They're both ex-fighters. They want to get it on.
Yeah.
If you don't want to watch it, literally just don't watch it.
Like, if you're not going to stop them from doing it.
Right, exactly. Like, just don't turn on the pay-per-view. Don't turn on your TV. Watch Match of the Day or whatever it is that you want to watch. Just ignore it. I think people need to learn to do that a lot more. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to say you're going to see more, but there are going to be a few fighters that are going to get the itch, and then they're going to be like, you know what, let me come back. I mean, if you think back, and which is the problem, I think Nigel Benn was probably a problem.
Yeah.
Because that seemed to be a bit more of a professional thing, if I'm right in thinking. When he
was fighting someone that was only retired for like 2 years.
2 years, yeah. So for me, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But even still, you know, if I said to you, Mayweather's not coming back to fight Logan, he's coming back to fight Crawford or Errol Spence, would you even want to see that?
No, not at all. That don't excite me at all.
That doesn't excite me.
Yeah. Because in this situation, both of them are like in their 50s. Both of them are just an exhibition. That's one thing we need to underline. It's an exhibition. It's not no comeback or like Julio Cesar Chavez was in a comeback in an exhibition fight.
Did you see that?
Weekend. I didn't, but I heard about it.
Bro, that man went hard.
Yeah. So that's all it's going to be, really. Everyone's hyping up like it's, but it will really be just like that fight.
That, yeah.
You know what I mean? So some casuals probably going to be disappointed. They'll be like, yo, I thought it was going to be some knockout. Like, it's probably just going to be like that.
Tyson's he's not the Tyson of old. So
yeah.
So yeah, no. But listen, bro, it's been a pleasure. Definitely hope we can do this more. And it's like I said, for every. Well, I'm going to say talking to the fans, but it's going to be on both our platforms as well. So yeah, I'll let you do a shout out. But Kojo Raps on TV, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Please listen, subscribe, share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's get more involvement.
Definitely, man. Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on, bro. And my socials, anyone wants to follow, boxing_lowdown on Twitter.
Yeah.
My Instagram, probably get more interaction on there. It's just Boxing Lowdown. And then the Boxing Lowdown on YouTube.
Yeah,
man.
Perfect, man. So listen, for everyone who wants to follow us, you know what to do now. And look forward to bringing you more content in the future. All right. Cheers.